It's not akin to ethnic cleansing. It is ethnic cleansing. It's not perhaps illegal. It would be a crime against humanity. You cannot forcibly relocate 2 million people or any number of people to achieve a political goal that they are not part of and call it anything other than what it is. The New York Times started out by referring to it as an audacious move. Then, because there was so much outcry at their language choice, they reframed it as a brazen move. It's neither of these things. It's a criminal move. It is a profoundly offensive move. It is a move that doesn't benefit the US in any way and will actually undermine a few of the key advantages Trump had while coming into office. Because people that wanted to deal with him in the region can't deal with him if this is the enterprise he is participating in. Because it is abhorrent. It is repulsive. It is insane. And people reacted last night to the news by, in the case of some Republicans, going, oh, well, Trump just says things. He speculates. This idiot on CNN said, he just says aspirational things. War crimes are aspirational? Crimes against humanity are aspirational? That's where we are? That's the defense? He was just musing? He himself, when he said it, said, I've been studying this for a long time. He himself was picking up on a proposal his son-in-law made in the middle of last year. He himself was reading from notes. This was not off the cuff. This was part of a plan that he intended to announce when Netanyahu, his first foreign visitor, came to visit him. So you cannot see this as merely Trump being impulsive. You have to see this as Trump showing the same disregard for international law as he shows for domestic law in the United States. This is akin to, we are going to take back Panama. We're going to make Canada the 51st state. We are going to take Greenland. These are assaults on not just global norms, but on treaties, on relationships with friends and allies, on the international system the United States has worked for a century to build. In any world where this kind of thing, would come up that was not the one that we happen to be living in now, it would lead to the 25th Amendment being invoked. It would lead to impeachment. It would lead to people saying this man must be stopped. But in this world, it's completely consistent with everything else that's happening right now. We're going to shut down cabinet departments, even without any authority at all. We are going to stop funding programs without any authority at all. We're going to fire people without any authority at all. We're going to end vital services to the United States without any authority at all. And it works because the Supreme Court said he was immune. And it works because he has the power to pardon anybody who does anything with him. And it works because the Republican members of Congress actively support him and are complicit in this assault on our Constitution and on international law. And it works because the Democrats don't know what to do about it. A couple of Dems have said we're going to put a blanket hold on nominations in the Senate, but it's just a couple. And one of them was just, State Department nominations. It's pretty narrow. You've got Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats, tweeting things out, as if he were a fucking color commentator on the decline of the West, rather than the leader of the opposition in the Senate of the United States. I heard Hakeem Jeffries last night on the Lawrence O'Donnell show, and I have a lot of regard for Hakeem Jeffries, but what he offered was mealy-mouthed unfocused. We must have the lawyers doing the lawyer things. We must do this. We must do that. Without defining what's going on as a coup, as a constitutional crisis, as an assault on the people of the United States, because after all, whose power is being usurped here? It's not the power of a bureaucrat. It's the power of the people who elected representatives who, on behalf of those people, created those departments, set up laws about those departments, set the mission for those departments, authorized the funds for those departments. And so when Trump wipes all that away, what's he doing? He is conducting a coup against the people who hold the highest office in the land, in the United States, in our system, you and me. And that's how we have to see that. And you have to stop seeing this as something abstract. And it is accelerating. Yesterday, it accelerated. It was not just this insane proposal with regard to Gaza, but stories started breaking about Trump people moving into the Department of Labor. Do you care about the Department of Labor? You probably don't. You've probably never given it a minute of thought. But if you're in a union, it matters. But furthermore, the Bureau of Labor Statistics provides some of the most vital data that there is on the economy. What happens if you shut it down? Where did the statistics come from? They come from Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk and their team, and you don't know whether they're true or not. And the markets won't know whether they're true or not. And we will all of a sudden be cooking the books of the largest economy in the world, and that can only lead to financial catastrophe. They went into the Weather Bureau yesterday, into NOAA, and they said they're going to shut that down. If you're a farmer, if you live in a coastal region, if you live in a region that's threatened by tornadoes or extreme weather, this is a threat to your life. Everybody from USAID is being shipped home. Perhaps you think, oh, the United States shouldn't spend money on foreign issues. Well, you mean like fighting diseases that could end up here killing us, like Ebola? Or do you mean helping to solve situations that could someday suck us in and put our troops at risk? Or do you mean competing with our rivals around the world and having some leverage that we can compete with them, the Chinese, the Russians, and others? Everything that is being eliminated is essential to our well-being. Could these places conceivably be run more efficiently? Undoubtedly. But the way you get to the efficient management of places is not to shut them down, do it in a wholesale fashion that it can't be evaluated, and have the only people who are in position to do anything about it be Elon Musk and a bunch of 20-something incel neo-Nazis who are going in, rewriting code, issuing ultimatums, and that have right now everybody in the United States government and everybody who depends on funds from the United States government, from schools to hospitals to police departments to departments of transportation, cowering in their boots because they know we are in a kind of reign of terror where these people will do whatever they want, and they're just desperate. Why? Because they have no political courage? No, because they're going to lose their jobs, their livelihoods, their well-being. This is happening to real people in real time. The news media is not giving it the coverage that it deserves. We are doing the best that we can, and we're a tiny little news outpost. If you think we're doing a good job, please share what you're hearing here. Find other places that are telling the truth. Share the places that are doing the truth. And then, and this is the hardest part of this all, folks, stop talking about how it makes you feel. It doesn't matter how you feel. What only matters right now is what are you going to do? Are you going to put pressure on your political leaders? Are you going to start running for office yourself so that there's somebody out there who has a stronger voice? Are you going to promote a general strike? Are you going to promote boycotts that create economic pain? The only time in the past 2 weeks that Donald Trump and Elon Musk were forced to take a step back was on Monday morning when the stock market said, no, don't go there with the tariffs, because that is the only language that matters to them. They're in this for themselves, for their own enrichment, and for the approval and support of the people who are closest to them. So we have to remind ourselves of that. We have to say, okay, that's a leverage point. What can we do that has a market consequence? But it's time to stop talking about how we feel. It's time to stop relying on leaders who won't lead to lead us. And it's time for everybody to do what they can, whether it's in the street, in their community, in some political forum, in some economic forum. And yes, it may seem like a small thing, but if 360 million people act, and they act in concert with world leaders who are appalled by what's going on, ultimately we can produce change. And if we don't act, and if we continue to be passive, you're going to see what we've seen over the past 2 weeks in spades in the weeks that come. And the United States, as you knew it, will cease to exist. It's not clear that it hasn't already ceased to exist, but it will definitely cease to exist. And fixing this will take decades and decades, and the American century will be over, and America's leadership will be severely set back, and people will die, and people will suffer, and the world will cease to be a safer place. And that's what the stakes are. And so it's just time, folks. Suck up your feelings. Stop thinking that tweets are what's going to do it. Start acting, because this is a 5-alarm fire. I wrote something about this yesterday in my column at the Daily Beast. Hope you'll go read it. I'll write something more about this at my Substack. Hope you'll go read it. And I'm sorry, guys, to give you a sermon here on a Wednesday morning. But I've never, ever anticipated anything like this. And I'll tell you something else, final thing. We've talked about it. A number of us participated in scenario exercises that our Rosa Brooks and some others organized this summer about, what the Democrats should do in response to it. There was a room full of leading Democrats. And at the end of it, I walked away and I was talking to Rosa and some others, friends of ours, Olivia Troy, some others. And we were like, Trump's just going to have a field day, because Democrats are going to want to write fucking petitions. They're going to want to write op-eds. They're not going to stand up. They're not going to use every tool. How is it that Rand Paul was able to stop all progress on Joe Biden's approvals, but the Democrats can't do that? How is that? We've got to ask ourselves questions, and we've got to realize that we're playing against people who don't play by the rules. And we've got to ratchet it up. The scenarios this summer indicated that wasn't going to happen. And there were plenty of people that we are close to, people that you may have heard on these podcasts, who said, no, this is going to be slow. It's going to be incremental. Well, is it slow? Is it incremental? No, it's fast. It's dramatic. It's reckless. It's lawless. It's dangerous. And it is not just a threat to a few people in Washington. It is a threat to you, and you need to treat it that way. It's a threat to your family. What would you do if somebody came in the front door of your house and said they were going to hurt your family? That's where you are. That's how you have to view it.